attend with RuthAnn and myself. So this is the first time home buyers webinar. So what we're going to be doing is going through the mortgage process as a first time home buyer. RuthAnn is going to be taking over the real estate side for the first time buyer process. So RuthAnn is with Team Gorin down in the Windsor area. She is super enthusiastic and loves seeing first-time home buyers achieve their home ownership dreams. And myself, I am Sam Thompson. I work for Verico Mega Mortgages up in the Barrie area, but we serve all of Ontario. So you can see in the chat box now that sort of our schedule for this morning. I'm going to start off chatting about the mortgage process. Then RuthAnn's going to take over and talk about all of the fun real estate side. And then from there, we'll open it up at around 10 for question and answers. So please, if you have any questions during either of our presentations, feel free to write it in the chat box, or if you're watching on a live stream, please add it to the comment section and we'll round off. That's really where you get the most benefit for coming out to this webinar, is when you get to ask your questions. It pulls more out of us, and it's a win-win for everybody. So without rambling on any longer, I will share my screen and start my side of the presentation. Alrighty, so welcome everybody to the First Time Homebuyers webinar. So as I was saying, I will be taking you through the mortgage process, how to get a mortgage, some of the mortgage mistakes that we see, getting money back when you buy in the forms of rebates, grants, incentives. We'll chat a little bit about down payment, and then of course the first time home buyer incentive. So again, a little bit about myself. So with Verico Mega Mortgage, we are licensed with all banks and lenders. I primarily in the office deal with first time home buyers. So also if you book a follow-up appointment with our office, the likelihood of you chatting with me is going to be very high. So it's nice to meet all of you. I'm sure we'll chat in the future as well. Before we dive too deep into the meat of what I want to talk about, we always love to open up just with a testimony of somebody who came to our webinar a couple of years ago. So just pay attention to sort of the facts and figures of their situation. It may look kind of familiar. So they came to our seminar in person. Yes, we used to have those. They only had $1,400 in their bank. They didn't know what their credit score, and roughly they made $65,000 as a total household income. So what happened was, just months after coming to our webinar, after getting pre-approved, they had actually purchased their first home, and they were making biweekly mortgage payments of just under $500, which, especially in today's market, is extremely manageable. So we really like this example because it's a real couple that came to our webinar, our seminar, and from an outside perspective, they didn't really know a lot about the home buying process. So really, we want to be able to educate you through this webinar and get you in touch with the right people to get you into your actual first home. So where do you start, and where did Jennifer and Joseph start? So they started by getting pre-approved. This is going to be something you'll probably hear myself say quite often because it is such an important step in the mortgage process. So it really helps avoid disappointment and speed up the process. The last thing that we want to see as your mortgage agent is to see you go with RuthAnn, look at all these amazing homes in the $600,000 range, to find out you only pre-qualify or pre-approve for $450,000 to $500,000. $100,000 is a big deficit. Even $50,000 is a big deficit. So we really want to be able to give you an accurate representation of what loan you'll actually get approved, so that when you go to RuthAnn to start looking for homes, you can give her the number as well, and then she can start shopping for things in your price range that suit your needs. It also lets you know what to expect, because we look through your credit report as well as all of your assets. So sometimes using an online calculator leaves out some of the smaller details that do actually play a role in how much you qualify for. And it does present a stronger offer, and the seller takes you more seriously. What having a pre-approval does is it communicates to the seller that you've already chatted with a lender, you've already started the process, you are already connected with a mortgage agent. So it does present a stronger offer in the sense that they know that you are actually very serious about this and you've taken steps towards home ownership. And one of the best things, as we're starting to see fixed rates on the rise a little bit, is it does guarantee your interest rate for the life of the pre-approval, which is 120 days. So here are some of the banks that we work with. Some are, the Big Five bank of Scotia, TD, CIBC, all of those, but some you might also not notice, like First National, ICICI. All of these are lenders that we are able to work with, and some of the smaller ones are actually funded by the larger banks. So during the pre-approval process, you're probably wondering, how does it actually happen? How do we start it? Well, typically it'll come from, a follow-up conversation from attending the seminar, but it happens all completely virtually. Especially with COVID, we're not really meeting in person anymore. So quite often we'll actually end up booking Zoom calls so that we can at least, keep screen to screen in our conversations, and the rest of it more or less just happens over the phone or over email in the terms of sending documents over to our office. The only things you really need handy for a pre-approval are going to be your pay stub and photo ID. Later on, when we start into the full approval process, we'll need, letters of employment, a longer list of things. But just things to have handy are your assets, liabilities, and whatever your income is. And from there, we can give you sort of a snapshot of what you qualify for. So why would Canadians use a broker versus a bank? I mean, a lot of people have this debate. They think, they have a relationship with whoever the bank teller is at their CIBC up the corner. But really, using a broker, we just have access to more products. I mean, it's true that the approval process is going to be essentially the same across all of the A lenders, where we'll require the same documents, we'll need all the same information, and we'll likely give you, a similar like packaged mortgage. But we have access to more products, because you might find in chatting with us that you're not actually looking for a standard traditional mortgage. It may be something more along the lines of a portable one, an investment, or a flip property. Also getting the difference that we can choose whatever the lowest rate is, we can go with that lender versus sticking with your home bank. Protecting your credit score is also a big one. We only do one hard credit check at the start of the process, and that's valid across all the lenders that we use. So yes, doing a hard credit check is going to hurt your score just a little bit, but again, it's not like we're checking it with each of the lenders. Say if you went to each bank and each bank pulled your credit, that would show up and it would reflect negatively on your credit and then affect your credit score. So we only do one check, and that's valid across all of our lenders. And we know that buyers have a unique story. So the beauty of working with a mortgage agent or mortgage professional is that we also get to chat with the underwriters, because there are also people at the lenders that we're borrowing the money from. So we get to communicate with them your story. We get to, sort of flesh out what your application, the details of it, or maybe some areas where there is some discrepancies, but an explanation why can go a long way to the underwriter. So we're really advocating for you in that sense. And using a broker is completely free. We actually get paid directly from the bank that your mortgage is processed with. So actually none of your money during the process ever comes to us. We get paid from the bank directly. So essentially, we are working for you because it's in our best interest for you to have the best experience and get into your new home hassle-free. Again, finding mortgages that fit. As I was saying a little bit before, there is quite a varied range of mortgages that you could be interested in. And depending on what your scenario is when you're chatting with a mortgage professional like myself or Joe, there may be a mortgage option available to you that does suit you better than, say, a traditional 5-year fixed. And that could be new build mortgages, flip, short-term, portable. Chatting with us, we get to understand your mortgage needs and then find out how we can help. Plus, there was a study that was done showing that brokers on average saved their Canadian clients $42 per month. So we've done the math because Joe and myself love coffee, and that works out to be about a small Timmy's coffee every weekday of the month. It used to be every day of the month, but then Timmy's raised the prices, so it threw the whole thing off. But anyways, if you get a mortgage through us, we like to say that we will buy you a small Timmy's coffee every weekday of the month. So now we've established those differences between, using a banker or a broker. We'll just go through some of the mistakes that we see people come into the office with, many of which they don't even know they're making, or, don't really know that it was a mistake to begin with. So mistake number one is going to be ignoring your credit score. This is a great first step in sort of taking pulse of where you are financially in, sort of a greater scale when it comes to, having conversation with bank lenders to get a mortgage loan. So we don't want you to get stuck with a bad rate, having to go with a B lender because you don't qualify for the minimum credit amount. So it's actually quite easy now to check your credit score. You can go through Equifax or TransUnion. Those typically do cost you. There are free sites such as Credit Karma, or a lot of mobile banking apps allow you to check your credit score. So the ones that you do through your mobile banking apps, they are a soft check, so it won't be the exact number that we see, but it also won't hurt your score checking through your mobile banking app. And it can really give you an idea of sort of where you're sitting and, let you know if you need to start building some credit. Ignore your credit score. So if you have a bankruptcy or a consumer proposal, there is actually some specific steps you need to take in order to get a mortgage approved. So the banks are not going to lend you a mortgage until you have at least 2 credit cards for a 2 years minimum each with a $2,000 limit on them. So if you're discharged from your consumer proposal, that's going to be the first step. We've seen some clients come in and, they feel like they've waited enough time, or, maybe they only have 1 credit card and they think that suffices, but it actually is really important that you do have at least 2 credit cards with the 2 years minimum of $2,000 limit. It's a really important step. Just giving a quick breakdown of what the lenders will consider good credit to poor credit. So for most of our traditional A lenders, around 630 to 650 is going to be the minimum qualification for those like prime rates. The best rates that you can get are going to be anywhere from 650 up into the 700s, 800s. Anything below that, closer to the 600 range or anything in the 500s, is going to require, the prospect of waiting so that you can reestablish some credit, or pursuing a B lender at a higher rate. So it is in your best interest to be at least over 650 for your credit score. And it's important to note that if there are multiple applicants on the file, the lowest credit score between the two will sort of be used sort of when they're looking to see, what you qualify for and what rate. They will use the lower of the two. So just to give you an idea of how you can build your credit a little bit faster is looking at the breakdown of how they calculate the score. So the biggest chunk is going to be credit history. So this is for any of those, old high school credit accounts, or any loans that you had in college that, you are thinking of closing that to move on to, a new joint account. As soon as you actually close an old credit account, you lose all of the credit history associated with that account. So you can find, and you may have even found this before, that actually when you pay off loans, there's a short period where actually your credit score gets lower, which seems very contrary because you've paid off credit that you owe. But because you've closed the account, the credit history is also lost, hurting your score. The second biggest thing is, second biggest factor is going to be the debt owed. So the illustration we like to give is it better to have $900 balance on a $1,000 credit card, or $900 balance on a $10,000 credit card? So you may be thinking it's 900 either way, Sam. It's going to be the same, but the lender actually looks at $900 balance on a $100 credit card as 90% of your credit used. So that will actually translate worse than if you had $900 on a $10,000 credit card. So that's a really important step to building your credit score, is making sure that your credit accounts are paid or stay below around 50% or less, if possible, for the strongest results. And a quick way or tip to help build your credit is if you are making monthly payments, or you do pay off your credit cards at the end of each month, if you pay it off before the statement is released, it's actually going to reflect better in your credit score, because when they do the credit calculation, they actually use whatever your most recent bank statement is. So if you're able to pay it off before the statement comes out, it'll show a 0 balance. Not reviewing your options. So there, as I was saying before, lots of different rates, lenders, ways to pay, and penalty calculations. So chatting with a mortgage professional, we really get to explore all of these options with you and partner it with your home ownership, needs and requirements. So just briefly looking at rates, 2.84 versus 2.99. So excuse me. Besides the fact that this is clearly old data because we're not really seeing any, great rates that are 2.99, but is there a difference of 0.15%? So there's actually quite a big difference. Over the life of your mortgage, it's just under $10,000 that 0.15% can save you. And that $10,000 can, that's just your money that you are not spending. So that can go somewhere else to, a renovation in the home, college fund, put it into your RRSP. That money is all of yours. There's also a lot of different banks and mortgage options that are available. So again, by chatting with us, we can really get an idea of what, your mortgage outlook and what your scenario looks like, and we can move from there. Payment options of monthly versus biweekly. So just quickly to rush over this, you can see that the biweekly chart on the yellow bars is the biweekly payment, and the blue bars is the traditional monthly payment. So you'll actually see that by choosing a more aggressive repayment of biweekly, it actually pays down, that you pay less in interest, and you can actually pay off your loan faster just by increasing your payments from 24 yearly to, 12 yearly to 26 yearly payments. Penalty calculations. This is actually a really big one because, we've seen a couple articles here and there of people that, had broken their mortgage with TD and then are left with $20,000 in penalty calculations. Although we don't want to see it, sometimes life happens and the only option for you is going to be to break your mortgage. So that's also something that we take into consideration that some people do miss, is looking at what penalty is associated with the mortgage that you sign up for. Mistake number 3, borrowing too much. We don't want you to extend yourself, way too much that you end up becoming house poor. We want you to actually be able to live in the new home that you've purchased, not a mattress on the floor. We want you to be able to, have the luxuries of being able to live in the home that you've just purchased. And on the topic of borrowing before you buy, if you're planning on getting a car loan, make sure you get your mortgage first. If you already have your car loan, then that's fine. We can work with that. But even payments as low as, $300 to $400 a month can quite heavily affect what your maximum qualification is. Car loans tend to be the biggest one that we see affecting maximum qualifications. Mistake number 4, forgetting about closing costs. So traditionally, when we were at our seminar, we would have a lovely, laminated pamphlet that we'd hand out to everybody. But as we are doing this over Zoom, we're going to be emailing you guys a copy of the breakdown of all of the closing costs. So it's very important because closing costs typically come out of your own pocket, and it's something that sneaks up on a lot of first-time home buyers. Right at the end, they've already thought about down payment and mortgage payments, and now there's one more cost. So making sure that you're taking account for that as well is very important. And mistake number 5 is simple enough, not getting pre-approved. It's a very quick process. It can be done essentially over one phone appointment. Typically takes 24 to 48 hours from us to hear back from the lender. It's completely free. And again, it can be done completely virtually. So we don't need to meet in the process of getting you pre-approved. Once you're pre-approved, the next best step is going to be to setting up your home buying team. So this includes using a buyer's agent such as RuthAnn, a home inspector, insurance broker, real estate lawyer. This is huge because having a buying team really advocates for your best interest rather than relying on, the seller's agent or anything like that. Just to quickly go over one more case study. So this was a couple in Tavistock, Ontario, who purchased over an acre of land. So they purchased for $329,000 with a down payment of $16,450. So their biweekly mortgage payments were $696. So what happened is just after 5 years, the market value of the home had already increased to $419. They had $339,000 mortgage left as they had refinanced a bit. But they could sell at that point and take $140,000 of equity to their next home in just 5 years. So really, this is just meant to illustrate the sort of investment process of purchasing homes, that it's essentially an investment that you get to live in. And I think it's very important for first-time buyers, especially, to note is that you're not always going to be purchasing your forever home on the very first go. And what you can do when you get into your first home is, by using that equity, that can help you roll over into one step closer to your forever home. And as you keep rolling over that equity, you'll see that you qualify for more, and it can get you in a better position for that retirement home that you want to just pay off and retire in. So now we're going to go through some of the grants, rebates, credits, and refunds. So this is my favorite part. It's the best part. It's how you guys get money back during the process, which we love to see. So let's just get into it here. So first-time buyers are entitled to a refund of approximately $1,000 if you buy an energy-efficient home. So it actually comes as a refund of 10% of your CMHC insurance premiums if you purchase a home that is certified as energy efficient. So for an example, if the home was worth $425,000, the refund would work out to be about $1,100. Ontario and Toronto land transfer tax rebate. So as a first-time home buyer, you are entitled to a land transfer tax rebate. If you're purchasing anywhere in Ontario, that refund is approximately $4,000. If you're purchasing in Toronto, as there is also a Toronto land transfer tax, they add an additional $3,700. So in total, if you were planning on buying in Toronto, the rebate would be up to $7,700 available to you. So again, using the same example, 700. So new to Canada benefit. So this is a really cool program that that Genworth is actually offering, that if you are new to Canada and you have your permanent residency, they have actually reduced your employment requirements to just 3 months. So typically we'll need 3 years, but they've softened that window as long as you're a permanent resident within the last 5 years. Also, there is no credit score required. So if you find that you have, low credit that might hinder you from achieving, good rates, they'll just look at bank statements, they'll look at phone bills, insurance statements, and they'll calculate your credit that way. So this is really big because a lot of newcomers to Canada have, some misconceptions of they need to put 35% down, and there's all of these requirements, but it actually is, as long as you're a permanent resident, it's just a minimum 5% down, and they've reduced the employment requirements and softened the credit requirements for you. So HST rebate. So this is if you are planning on purchasing a new home from a builder or building a new home yourself. Because it is a new home, you will have to pay the HST tax on that home. But as a first-time home buyer, you are entitled to a rebate of that HST. So to give you an example, on a $425,000 new build home, the rebate works out to be about $33,150. There is a tax credit that's available to you as a first-time home buyer. So this is quite pertinent because it is now tax season. So if you have purchased a home in the last tax year, there's a tax credit you can fill out in your income tax of about $5,000, and it's available to you as being a first-time home buyer. So with a family household income of $85,000, that works out to be about $2,000 back in your pocket. Some of our lenders do also offer a free 1-year home warranty that's available to you as a first-time home buyer. So it's through a couple of our lenders that we work with, and it covers home heating, air conditioning, electrical, water heating, plumbing, Murphy's Law. If anything's going to go wrong with your home, it'll probably be within the first year of home ownership. So it actually covers up to $10,000, and there's no inspection that's required. If you're having trouble coming up with a down payment, there's actually a program that allows you to withdraw from your RRSP completely tax-free. So each home buyer can withdraw up to $35,000 or $70,000 per couple completely tax-free from your RRSP. So that'll actually save you in the long run $21,000 in tax. So it actually is withdrawn through the home buyer plan, which just requires monthly repayment on the loan, but again, saves you all of that tax money. So to qualify for this one, you just need to be a first-time home buyer or a person with a disability. It also works if you're buying a home for a person with a disability or just haven't owned any property in the last 4 full calendar years. So looking at ways to get a down payment, this seems to be a really big one that a lot of first-time home buyers struggle with when they're looking to get into the market. So in all of the municipalities listed here, Chatham, Kent, and Lambton, Sarnia, all of these areas have municipally funded down payment assistance programs. So what these are is it is a loan typically anywhere from 5 to 10% in the form of a down payment that generally is actually forgivable. So they will lend it to you. Generally, you have to be renting in that municipality for at least 1 year prior to applying. And they will actually, given certain requirements of a max purchase price or a maximum household income, they will actually give you roughly 5 to 10, depending on the municipality, percent down, and it's completely forgivable after 20 years. So if you're looking at purchasing your forever home, or think you will be owning the home for 20 years, at the end of those 20 years, the loan doesn't require any repayment. So this is a really cool incentive. It does come with sort of a wait period because it's municipally funded. When you typically apply, you'll be added to a wait list, and then you will be notified when those funds become available to you. Then you can go on your home search and find a property using that additional funds. Other ways of down payment, there are rent-to-own programs that are available. Money from family we're seeing as a big one. Even using cashback mortgages to cover off some of those closing costs. Unfortunately, the cashback mortgage can't go towards the down payment as it comes from the mortgage, but it can be used towards all of the closing costs, which can soften the load of money that you have at the end of the purchase process. So in total, looking back, I know I just threw a lot of information, a lot of numbers and programs and grants at you, but the total savings of all of those, if you were able to take advantage of them all, is around $52,000. So really, I don't expect you to remember all of them. The real point of this is that we know what they are, and also all of them, essentially, you just have to be a first-time home buyer to be entitled to them. And a lot of people don't even know what they are or that they even exist. So our real heart for working with first-time home buyers is being able to educate them so they can maximize their savings, and that they can be in a proper and informed position when they're applying for an official mortgage on a property. So as I'm wrapping up, I will just cover off the first-time home buyer incentive. So the first-time homebuyer incentive is essentially just a shared equity loan that is funded through the government of Canada. So if you're a first-time home buyer, they will give either 5 or 10% towards the down payment of your home. So if it is a resale home, they will give 5%, or if it's a new construction, they can give either 5 or 10% towards the down payment. So just looking what that actually works out to, month over month and in the mortgage process, both columns are a buyer with a $100,000 income. They're buying the same home price at $421,000, and they both have the minimum 5% down. So the only difference here is now the first-time home buyer on the right column has an additional 5% through the incentive. So what that does is you'll see a trickle-down effect where it lowers the insured mortgage, lowers the insurance premium, and lowers the monthly mortgage repayment. So the difference in monthly payments is 123, which, that doesn't sound like too much, but year over year, that's savings of almost $1,500, which that can go directly to, the hot tub fund, or again, as we were saying, some renovations, whatever you want to use that money for, it's completely yours. And that's just the savings in a yearly perspective. So even looking over a 5-year term, it can quite drastically help you save money in the long run. So what properties are eligible? So any new construction or resale homes, semi-detached, duplex, triplex. We say that if RuthAnn can find the property for you, then likely it will qualify for the first-time buyer's incentive. So who can apply? So again, any Canadian citizen or permanent resident can apply for this. There are a couple requirements: that your maximum household income cannot exceed $120,000. And the actual loan amount of the mortgage cannot exceed 4 times your household income. So just to give you an example, if your household income was $100,000, your maximum mortgage loan amount cannot exceed $400,000, or 4 times 100,000. And of course, at least one of the borrowers must be a first-time home buyer. So it's a great incentive, and the repayment is not triggered until the end of the process. The end of the amortization of the 25 years. So thank you so much for listening to me on this very early Saturday morning. So just if you take anything from it, remember to get pre-approved, and remember that there are options available to you, especially when chatting with a mortgage professional. So feel free to call or text our office at 705-238-3479, or visit us at facebook.com/bemortgagefree. And yeah, we'd love to just chat with you about your mortgage options and work with you to achieve your home ownership goals. So now that I have given you all of that information, again, if you do have any questions, please either be saving them for the end or write them in the chat. We do really love going over the questions that you guys have. But yes, without delaying any further, I will pass it over to RuthAnn, who's going to chat about the real estate process with you guys.
Good morning, everybody, and thank you so much, Sam, for having me on. And I'm just so glad that everybody was able to make it out this morning to be able to educate yourselves about mortgages and first-time home buying. Like Sam said, I'm RuthAnn Osborne, and I work at Team Gorin down here in Windsor in Essex County. If you know anything about Windsor and Essex County, we are almost in Tecumseh, right on the EC road there. So it's a great location, and Windsor's a great place to be, and definitely a great place to buy right now. We have some of the lowest prices in the country, which is amazing, absolutely amazing. So a couple things that I want to go through are things that are going to help you and just set you up to have the best first-time home buying experience as possible. So one of the first things that I want to talk about is your buyer agency, seller agency, and different representations. And Sam touched on this a little bit, which was awesome. A lot of times I get buyers that call me and they're like, I really like this house that I've seen, but I've already put in like 4 offers and I didn't get anything, and I'm just so discouraged. And I get it. I 100% get it. I've been a first-time home buyer before, and it can be very, very frustrating. But the thing that you need to do is make sure that you're set up properly. All right. So I asked, so you're with an agent, and the sellers or the buyer goes, no, I just call, I just call whoever's listed the house, and that's how I put an offer in. Okay. Number one, that's a really big mistake. Okay. And I'm going to tell you why. First of all, I list homes. Okay. I list homes, I sell homes, but I also work with buyers. And when I'm working with a seller, my obligations are much different than when they're working with when I'm working with a buyer. So whoever it is that I'm working with, if I'm working with a seller, I am legally obligated to do 100% everything in their best interest. So if you're coming into me because you like the house that I've listed as a buyer, and you want information, you want to put in an offer, absolutely, I can do that for you. However, my obligations and my legal obligations and my highest priority is to that seller of that house. Okay. So if you have already put in an offer on a home, you've probably seen a working with a realtor form. It's a standard form every time you put in an offer or when you meet an agent. It is something that they should be going through with you, and it explains all of this. So it explains the boundaries, it explains the jobs of each. Now, first of all, if you a buyer rep, so if you're coming to me because you've looked at a house and you would like to purchase it, I'm not selling that house. I am your buyer representative. Okay, you are my client, and my obligations are 100% to you, and it's also free. So it doesn't cost you anything. And this is what I've never understood is people go with the selling agent, but it's completely free to go with a buyer's agent. All right. So if you come to me and I'm your agent, there are things that I can do for you. Like if you go to a seller, the seller is going to show you the home. Okay. They're going to write you an offer. They're gonna take you through the home. They're gonna help you get set up with financing. As a buyer agent, your buyer agent's gonna do all that stuff as well, but they're also gonna get you things like they're gonna get you comparables. Okay, they're gonna not just say to you, "Oh, you know, the house down the street, it sold for $375." So, right? They're gonna say, "Here's some comparables. Here's another comparable. Here's another comparable. This is what these houses sold for." All right, that's what your buyer's agent's going to do for you. They're also going to negotiate 100% on your best interest. Like I said, the seller, that agent is negotiating on their best interest. The buyer rep is negotiating on your best interest. So it's very important to have that buyer representation. If you were one of the best analogies I can give is if you had to go to court, you had to stand in front of a judge. Would you really want the lawyer that's there representing you as well as the other person? It's the same scenario. Okay. And I feel like that is one of the biggest things that a lot of people, not even first-time home buyers, but just a lot of people in general don't understand. So the buyer form, it has, the working with a realtor form has a seller side and a buyer side, and then it has a customer and it has a client side. So even if you are a customer, those obligations are different than if you were a client. All right, and those are really important. Now, one of the other things, so as I'm just going to kind of walk you through the process of buying a house. So the first thing that you need to do is you need to call Sam, you need to talk to Mega Mortgage, you need to get yourself a mortgage and get yourself a pre-approval. I'm sure that if you've been looking out there, you've noticed that the market is just crazy. I mean, stuff is going up for sale and 2 hours later it's getting sold. Okay. And it's selling above asking price. And so what we need is, I love that Sam said that we are like your mortgage team. And it's very much a mortgage team. Okay. So you have your real estate agent, you have your mortgage broker, you have your home inspector, your insurance company. We all need to work together, but we aren't able to do that if you don't allow us to work together. And one of the best ways that you can help us work together is by getting that pre-approval and then letting your agent know what your pre-approval is, or at the very least, letting us call your mortgage broker so that we can discuss with them kind of what the best way to get you a home is. All right. So that's number one. Number two, once you're talking, you're looking at homes and stuff like that, you really need to get yourself a buyer agent. Okay. So you need to call an agency, or maybe you're working with somebody, but you need to sit down. Don't just call up and say, "Hey, I want to go look at this house," and go meet somebody and go look at this house. Okay. You want to get in front of that agent. You want to meet with that agent face to face, whether it is in person at their office or at a Tim Hortons or wherever it may be, or over Zoom. We do a lot of these Zoom meetings. Okay. Have a face-to-face conversation with that agent so that you can discuss what you're looking for in a home, when you want to move, how much you're able to spend on that, what kind of situation like you want to be in or don't want to be in as far as offer presentations go and multiple offers and things like that. And really get to know your agent, because it's all about relationship. This is your biggest investment you're ever going to make in your life. Okay. And you want to make sure that you are with the proper person. This isn't about the agent. This is about you. This is about your home. This is about your future. This is about the biggest investment you're going to make in your future. So make sure that you get the right agent. All right. And one of the other things that makes this easiest is a contract. I know people think, oh, I don't want to sign a contract. Okay. Number one, when we're looking at a contract, you should be able to get out of that contract within 48 hours. Okay. Where I am at Team Gorin, we actually have a paper that promises that if you're not happy with us, you can go within 48 hours, because this, again, it's your biggest investment. And if you're not happy with the person that you're working with, if you guys don't jive together, you need to be able to get out of that, because you need to be able to move on and get your house as soon as possible. Okay. So if you are somewhere and you're working with an agent, they're showing you the contract, don't be afraid to say, hey, listen, I want to work with you. I like you. I think you're great, but I would like to throw that 48-hour in there just in case, you know. And then that contract is important because it lets your agent know where you're at. It lets them know that you are a serious buyer, and it lets them know that you want to buy in 3 weeks or in 3 months or in 3 years. It sets up the standard and the boundaries so that they're able to give you the best that they can, and they're able to do it at the right time. So that contract is very important, and it's important for both the buyer as well as the agent, just so that everybody knows where they stand. Okay. So that is something that you need to do. You need to get in front of your agent. You need to talk to them face to face. You need to work on that contract so that you know where both of you stand and what your boundaries are, and have everything laid out so that you know what's going on. Okay. And then the other thing that you need to do is you need to go out and look at houses. Okay. You need to be educated about the market. Please, when you are looking for an agent, find yourself an agent that is going to educate you. You guys are taking on today. You've come to this Zoom meeting and you've educated yourselves, and that is phenomenal. Back when I was buying my first house, the only education I got was either from my parents, from my friends who just bought their own house, or from whatever agent that I had called. Okay, that was it. You guys have so much more information out there that you can use. You got internets, webinars, but the other thing is that you have your agent, and your agent does this every single day. All right. So your agent should 100% be educating you. Okay. And one of the best ways that they can do that is let them take you out and show you some houses that they think will be good for you to see. Okay. In our market right now, a lot of houses are going over by 100,000 or 110 or 80,000 and stuff like that. So if you don't know the market, you're looking at this house, and this house is 250, and this house is in your budget, and you're super excited about this house, but this house isn't actually 250. This house is actually 350, right? So, but you're not going to know that because you don't work in the market all the time, and you haven't experienced that yet. You need to experience that. So have your agent pick some houses out for you. Spend an afternoon. Go see four houses that your agent has picked out, and then 2 houses that you would like to see as well. Go to all those houses, see what you can get for that price range, and then also see what they're selling for. So the next 5 days, 10 days, those houses are going to sell if you're in Windsor. Okay, you're going to be able to see what those houses went for, and then you're going to know, okay, do I maybe need to start looking kind of in a different price range, or do I maybe need to find a way to be able to boost this? And you don't know that until you've gone out and until you've experienced it. Okay. We don't want you to be frustrated with this situation. And this step is going to make a huge difference. This market educating step is, I feel that it is just so crucial. This is how you don't want to be writing 4 or 5 or 6 or 20 offers. And at that point be like, oh, I'm just frustrated and forget it. When we do this step and we educate you and you know what's going on in the market, you can put in an offer, a much better offer, one that you are a lot more comfortable with, and one that's going to win you that house. You're going to get that house and it's going to be yours. One of the things that Sam had said was different sources that you can get mortgages from or down payments, and how you can get help. And I know that when I first started looking for a house, I feel like it was forever ago now, but back in the day, I wanted to do it all by myself. Okay. I was like, oh, I'm going to get a house and I don't need really anybody's help, and I can do this on my own. And I went and I got a mortgage. And back then it was like, I needed something under 100,000 for a house. I was a single woman. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to get myself an income property, duplex or triplex, something like that. And I can live in one unit, and then whoever's living in the other unit, they can pay my mortgage for me. So I went out, I called up an agent for a house that I saw. We started looking at houses, and it was very discouraging. But I kept pushing away at it. And then we went into this one house, and when we were walking around the property, the back door was open, and the agent's like, oh, we're going to have to fix that. And we got in, we went upstairs, and there was a guy sleeping upstairs, and he woke up and he was like, oh, I'm sorry, I'll just go now. And he left. And I thought, oh my gosh, I can't do this price range. Like, I need some help here. And it did feel defeating, but at the same time, you know what? I called my parents and I said, this is what I'd like to do. I'd like to get a duplex. I'd like this. This is my plan. And my dad said, we have always wanted to have an income property, and we would love to help you with this. So they were able to come beside me on that, and it was a really good experience. My parents, they love me. Your family loves you, your grandparents, and they're more than happy to help. And if you talk to them, a lot of times their family has helped them out as well. So, your grandparents have helped your parents and stuff like that. So don't be afraid to do that kind of thing. But the market experience is extremely important. And by going out, you're gonna know, okay, do I actually need to talk to somebody else? Or do I need to change my budget? Or, what do I need to do here? So please make sure that you get an agent that does that market experience with you. Okay. Once you've had that market experience, you're going to put in an educated offer. Okay. And your agent is going to be able to walk you through how to do that. There's a lot of different things that you can do. Okay. There's preemptive offers, there's escalation offers. Our market out there right now is just absolutely bananas. And you need to be able to navigate through that. If you see a house on Monday that goes up and it's what you like, you should be able to get into that house on Monday night. Okay. If you need an inspection on that house, you should be able to get that inspection on Tuesday, and Tuesday night put in a preemptive offer so that you can get that house. Okay. Those are the kind of things that you need to know. But you're not going to know that until you get your pre-approval, until you get educated about your marketplace, until you get set up properly with an agent where everybody knows their boundaries and they can help you and get you the best thing, best home for you and the best buying experience. You're getting an investment, or getting a home is an investment in your life. It's an absolute investment. And people move on statistically every 5 years. Okay. So one of the things in this market that I just want to quickly touch on is that the home that you're buying today, I know that you're looking at it and you're thinking this is going to be my forever home. And I get this all the time with first-time home buyers. I'm going to buy my forever home. Most likely you're not going to buy your forever home, right? Because in 5 years, life might change for you. So in our market right now, yes, everything is going crazy and it's high and stuff like that, but we're projected to be also increasing another 20% by next year, somewhere around that 20% mark, which means whatever you buy today, it's going to be worth more next year. Okay. And just like Sam had said, and he had shown you with those other homeowners, they purchased that home and then they were able to sell it for more money, get into a bigger, better home, something else, right? So don't be afraid, please, to get something that maybe isn't, your forever home, but something that is an investment, because right now our market is the best thing that you can possibly invest in. Absolutely. So, if anybody has any questions that I can answer for you, or if Sam does, I'm very excited that we could do this today, and hopefully that information was helpful.
That's awesome. Thank you so much, RuthAnn, for going through that with us. Especially in today's market, there's got to be a lot of questions for the real estate side of house prices, how to see it virtually, what the process looks like. So if anyone has any questions, feel free to just write it in the chat box or comment on this video. We'll stick around for a little bit, but I guess a question that we get a lot is just more of a practical one of what does like the home search process look like as affected by COVID? Like, I think a lot of people are concerned with the possibility of not being able to physically see, the home that they're wanting to put an offer in. So if you just want to touch a bit on sort of what viewing a home in COVID sort of looks like and what they can expect from that.
Yeah, absolutely. Technology has come so far, and before this meeting, we were talking about how it's changed so many different businesses. And yeah, so one of the things that I do is I do a WhatsApp view. Okay, so I have a lot of out of town buyers, Montreal buyers, Toronto buyers, London buyers, and they can't always get down here to see a home. So I will go in with WhatsApp and you are on the phone with me seeing the video. I'm able to tell you, okay, something smells like musty and moldy, okay? Or, you can't see it on the pictures, but like this baseboard is falling off over here, or there's a huge crack in this foundation. I'm able to walk you through that kind of stuff, and you're able to see it on the video as well. The other thing is that we have COVID forms that we have to fill out for every single visit, okay? So, and then we have to send them to the agent. And there are a lot of standards and government rules that we're following right now. And you know what? Everyone's doing a very good job because people really respect other people's property, and they respect each other in those boundaries. So sometimes I've been to homes that are extremely busy and there's cars lined up, but people are either waiting in their homes or they're lined up down on the pavement, but they're 6 feet apart. And one agent will go in, they'll do the viewing, and then they'll come out, and then the next group will go in and stuff like that. So that's kind of how it is. But we're doing a lot of stuff through Zoom. We're doing a lot of like buyer meetings through Zoom and seller meetings through Zoom, and like I said, the WhatsApp views as well. We're doing all that kind of stuff.
So it's less scary than it seems. That
it is. It's a lot
you're not
less
buying blind.
100%. It's a lot less scary. It's not like you're gonna go to an open house and there's gonna be a ton of people walking through and you're bumping shoulders with them. It's not like that at all. No, it's completely safe.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, if we don't have any more questions, I guess just a final one for yourself, RuthAnn, is if anyone does have, any further questions or wants to chat with you about the, sort of Windsor area market, how can they get in touch with you?
Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to hear from you. If you have any questions at all, you can always call me or you can text me at 226-783-3711, or you can call my the Team Gorin office and you can talk to any of our agents. They are all absolutely amazing. I work with an amazing team. I'm so blessed to be on it. The number for that is 519-979-9499. You can also email me, RuthAnn@teamgorin.com, or check out my Facebook page. It has a ton of information on it, market information about Windsor and Essex County. So it's a very good resource.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, RuthAnn, and thank you for anyone who watched the video this morning. We really do appreciate you setting some time aside on your precious early hours on your Saturday. And if you're watching this video after, it's gone live and it's just through either our Facebook or YouTube channel, we just want to thank you for watching, and feel free to reach out to get pre-approved, and we will connect you with RuthAnn, or vice versa if you want to connect with RuthAnn. Yeah, thank you guys so much for coming out, and have an amazing weekend, everybody.
Have a good day.